that I'm glad the Lord has inspired us to keep these Bible studies on Monday night. We always have a good group through the years. I don't know how many years now we've been conducting these studies on Monday night. And now they're going out through parts of the nation, and we're getting people to comment from other states and other places. Thank you, Brother George. About how they enjoy them. So now it's got a little wider audience than just our local group here. But there's people in other areas that are actually hearing the Word through this Bible study from this humble place on Monday night, from this humble teacher. And we're thankful for that. Oh, by the way, I say thank the Lord for Shirley being able to be with us tonight, because she's really been through quite a siege. But we're glad to see you able to be here, Shirley, tonight. And anyone else that may have been missing. It's noteworthy to say then that God would have us to learn and to acquire knowledge. It's also a fact that an individual and a family, a tribe, a nation will be in trouble when their knowledge level gets in trouble, when they cease to have a certain amount of knowledge. Any group would face perhaps extension and being no more. In fact, I think it's safe to say that there are parts of civilization that no longer exist on the face of the earth. At one time, we're here, had libraries, places of learning, sources of knowledge, and they're gone now. They're considered no longer on the earth as a tribe, a nation, people, because their knowledge level was not sufficient for them to plan, to think, to build, to create, sufficient to keeping themselves in defense of their faith, their belief, their civilization, their arts, their talents, their abilities. So knowledge is a very important word. Knowledge. Being able to delve into knowing or studying or understanding or knowledge. And I think that it's very important that the church maintains a level of knowledge, that it would be sufficient for us to understand the times, day, season that we're in, and just like we look at the clock and tell time, what would we do without being able to look at watches and clocks and say it's 3 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, we're getting into the night, because it makes us aware of the time that we are in. So we'll just use a few scriptures. In Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, Isaiah said in the 5th chapter of Isaiah that the people, and here he said, my people, so this is speaking of Israel, the people of God, the nation of God, the chosen nation of God. And in verse 13 and 14, chapter 5, he uses the thought, therefore my people, are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. And they're honorable men, that is, they're men of high standing, they're scholars, they're learned men, and their honorable men are famished. That is, they are starved. They have no substance of themselves. And their multitude, the people of that nation, dried up with thirst. Now, why did the people, the scripture said, my people? We know that when it uses that term, it's referring to the chosen people of God. It's referring to Israel. 2 Chronicles 7:14 said, but it's my people, it's my people, which are called by my name. So this is definitely Israel, the chosen people of God. And God has a problem with them, according to the prophet Isaiah. He said they have gone into captivity. They've become captives of other nations, and we know they successfully spent most of their life as a kingdom and as a nation in captivity. I think Israel has enjoyed freedom since 1948, when the Star of David was raised up over Israel in Jerusalem. David Ben-Gurion became their prime minister. They formed their first army and became an independent nation. Now that's going on 62 years. They have enjoyed the freedom and independency of a nation again. But interestingly, if you look back through the prophecy of the prophets and the history of Israel in the wilderness and from there on out, they did not spend too much more time than they now have, 62 years, independent nation. That really is not too far short of the longest period that they spent as a nation in freedom without being under the heel of another nation. Because most of the lifetime of this chosen nation of God, this chosen people of God, they have spent in captivity under subjection of Egypt, Assyria, the Mede and Persians, Babylon, Greece, Rome, and then from that the European nations of the Turks and the Balkan nations, and then they evolved under the captivity of Russia, thousands of them imprisoned in Russia, thousands in prison in Poland, thousands in prison in Germany. They have spent a good part of their existence. Why? Why? Well, Isaiah said because they have no knowledge. They didn't get the proper knowledge to inform them, teach them, and lead them in a way that they could exist as a nation without being in captivity. Let's parallel that with the church. Now that comes home to us because we are the spiritual Israel. But how free has the church been in your lifetime? How free has the church been in the history of the church from the indulgences of man, from more of man's religion than God's faith, more of man's form than the spirituality of God, more of the imprisoning factors of pettyism, which is called quarreling, bickering, jealousy, anger, strife, separation, division in your life.